Hi everyone, so I kind of have a confession to make. I haven't really been using my reading slash media journal. Yeah, I know. But I'm hoping to change that today. So if you saw my reading journal setup video in the very beginning of the year, I did a dark academia theme, very collage. It was a lot of fun. And I've been using the spreads a little bit, but part of the problem of why I wasn't really keeping up with this is I didn't do a lot of reading the last, 4 months or whatever, because I was in grad school, and for whatever reason, being in grad school, I was just not motivated to read for fun at all. So, even though I've read 5 books over the last 5 or so months, which isn't terrible. Average is about 1 book a month. I'd like to be doing more than that. And I've also been watching TV shows and movies and things like that I would like to put in here as well, because it's not just a reading journal. I want to keep track of other media and things, and I haven't been doing that either. So I have a few books here I've been filling out in my bookshelf. I was hoping for my favorite book of the year bracket that I'd have one from each month, and that's why there's 12 slots. But like I mentioned, I have not been reading 1 book a month, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to end up doing with this. I might just, if I end up reading 12 books over the year, I might just do all 12 books regardless of what month I read them in. And just been kind of slowly filling out this stuff as I go with, series or whatever I'm reading. I have a few things in my things to check out, so it's not like I haven't used it at all. I accidentally skipped a page here. And then I made this first quarter cover page, which I think turned out super cute. I did this back in January when I thought I was gonna be using this more frequently, and I was feeling motivated. And I wanted to go with the space theme, thought it was really cute. And then I made kind of a very simple page for what I read in January, because I actually did do a lot of reading in January. And then I just never filled it out, as you can see. I wrote down everything, but I never put in the actual review. And that's where it's stopped since then. So today I'm going to be setting up a May cover page. I'm still not sure if I'm going to do monthly cover pages, or I might want to go back to just doing large chunks of time, like how this was the first quarter, so it was the first 3 months. I'm just in the mood to do a May spread today, and also showing you guys some of these stuff that I've read in May and watched and consumed media, whatever, so that you can see how it all turns out. And I don't know if I'll do this as a monthly thing, but we'll see how it goes. Hi there, it is voiceover Emily here now, and in an effort to save myself from doing lots of drawing, I mostly do collage scrapbook style spreads for my reading and media journal, which is slightly inspired by Mochi Bujo, aka Heda, and her monthly reading journal setups. I set this up back in the beginning of May to go along with my regular May bullet journal setup, which was Studio Ghibli themed, and I don't know why, but the beginning of May I was just really feeling the bright pastel spring colors, so I continued with that color scheme for this setup. I'm using a bunch of different scrapbook paper, as well as these Studio Ghibli stickers that I got from an art friend of mine, Ecto Cute, on Instagram, and I will definitely link them below because they are such a talented artist and a really kind person. On the owl paper on the right page, I'm going to write in everything included in this month's setup, so it's almost like an index of everything I read and watched this month. My first spread for this month is To All the Boys I've Loved Before. I listened to the audiobook and I watched the movie on Netflix, so I thought it would be cute to write about them side by side in the same spread and kind of compare the two. It was my first time reading the book and my second time watching the movie, but it had been a very long time, so I honestly forgot what happened. And actually, the book and the movie are very different. Like, you wouldn't think that for a YA romance there would be a lot of differences and a lot left out, but I really felt like the movie barely scratched the surface of what actually happened. I guess it's no surprise that the book is better than the movie, because they usually are. But if you're a fan of the movie, I highly recommend the audiobook version read by Ali On. I really like all the different voices she uses for the characters. I think she does an especially good job voicing Lara Jean and her two sisters. And there were some changes in the movie that I just didn't understand why they made them, and coming from my television production background, the only thing I can think of was to save money. Like, realistically, the movie adaptation was probably made very cheaply within just a couple weeks by Netflix, and then it was still a huge success. It also shows how important casting is in movies, because I felt like it was such a short amount of time to get to know the characters, but the actors, especially Lana Condor and Noah Centineo, hopefully I'm saying their names correctly, they did a great job of communicating that in their very little screen time. And just to be not as spoiler free for a moment, the movie focuses a lot more on the passing of Lara Jean's mom, which is really interesting. And it also seemed to have made Josh less of a threat in the love triangle, which I thought was also an interesting choice. The scene I probably missed the most was when Lara Jean and Peter go to the estate sale. I thought that was like a very cute scene and a moment of like real bonding for them. Ultimately, the movie's just okay, but if you're a fan of YA romance, I recommend the audiobook for sure. The next book I read in May was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right too. So reading this book was actually a really interesting experience, because I had no idea what the book was about before starting it. This usually serves me well when reading or watching TV shows and stuff, but honestly I think it burned me on this one. I heard about the book a lot, so I was like, okay, everybody's talking about this book, I should read it to see what all the hype is about. But I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had known what it was about going into it. Without spoiling it for anyone who hasn't read it yet, the best way I can describe it is if a self-help book was written as fiction, which is funny because I actually like self-help books sometimes, so you'd think that would make me love this book. And I really wanted to love this book so badly. But honestly, the first half of the book feels really slow and kind of repetitive, and for the whole book in general, sometimes the lessons were too on the nose for me. I will say the ending does redeem it quite a bit, because shit basically hits the fan and things finally get interesting, but it takes most of the book to get there. The next book I read last month was, funny enough, a self-help type book called The Power of Fun by Catherine Price. The Power of Fun is all about what fun is and how to have more of it in your life. This may sound like a weirdly specific concept, but I think it was a great read if you are feeling like you're in a funk or sick of your same old routine. I felt like it was more practical than some self-help type stuff that just tells you how to generally be happy. We all learn eventually that happiness isn't always something you can control and isn't permanent, but you can control how much fun you have, or how much fun you're trying to have in your life. It's also a very quick read and talks about some of the psychological type concepts without bogging it down with complex language, and it's still easy to follow. I think the hardest part is actually taking the advice and implementing it into your daily life. you know, the same could be said for any type of self-help, I think. My final 2 spreads of the month are for the TV series Amphibia and the Owl House. If you've never seen them before, they are animated shows that aired on Disney Channel. If you're a fan of Gravity Falls or Star vs. the Forces of Evil, you would definitely love these shows. I wanted them to share a spread because a lot of fans regard them as sister shows, and they do have a similar style and vibe. Amphibia is about 3 best friends who get transported to a world far from Earth that is populated by frogs, toads, and newts, hence Amphibia. They have to find a way back home and fight the forces of evil trying to stop them. The show ended with its series finale in May, and I just thought it was so well done. There was so much beautiful animation. I will say the ending is extremely bittersweet, but very realistic to how life usually goes, and safe to say, I cried my eyes out the entire time. The Owl House is a show about a teenage girl who travels to a world filled with magic and witches. In the beginning, it blatantly plays on some tropes we are familiar with, but then evolves into something so truly unique. The show just finished its season 2 finale, which honestly blew my mind and delivered an ending I was not expecting at all, but in a good way. I was absolutely shook to my core. Sadly, there's only 1 season left, and it's going to be 3 episodes long. Thanks, Disney. But I cannot recommend this show enough, especially if you are looking for shows with good LGBTQ+ representation. It's amazing. Thank you so much for watching me catch up on my reading/media journal. If you liked it, be sure to leave a comment letting me know if you've read any of these books or watched these shows, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Also, subscribe if you haven't already for more bullet journaling content. Thanks again for watching, and take care until next time.